Hey, what's up, guys? In this video, I want to go over the top 8 reasons why your cold DMs aren't working in 2025. So let's just get right into it. So the first reason being is you don't understand your niche and you're targeting too many sub niches. And what do I mean by that is I'm in a lot of online communities and I see some people saying, "Oh, I'm targeting B2B," and really, B2B is not a niche. It's more of an industry because all B2B means is business to business. So if you're targeting B2B, that means you're targeting other businesses that sell to businesses, which is could be a wide array of different types of companies. Also, I see people talking how they target construction or home services. And really, that's not a niche either, because you could be targeting HVAC companies, you could be targeting roofers, you could be targeting home remodelers, and they're all looking for different things. Just as well as e-commerce isn't a niche, because it could be like a beauty brand that's selling on the internet, selling their products on the internet. It could be a fitness equipment company that's selling their products on the internet. So if you don't really understand the actual sub niche of these industries that you're going after, then it's kind of hard to have your messaging resonate with anybody. So the second reason is your profile isn't optimized properly. So here we'll just take a look at my profile and we'll kind of go through it so you can see what I'm talking about. Let me just turn my camera back on here for a second so you can see my, oh, I guess it's not going to let me. So the first thing is you want to have your name up here that's clear. You don't want to have, I'll just use myself as an example. Like you wouldn't want to have your username be like Jarrell Green 080808, or a bunch of numbers at the end. Just because it kind of looks a little bit spammy and you just want to have a clear, legible username. Then you want to have enough posts. So you don't want to just have like 5 posts and that's it. So I recommend having at least 9 to 12 lifestyle type posts, and we'll go through that in a second. Then you need to have some followers. So you don't need to have, 1,000 followers or more, but you do need to have, I would say, anywhere from like 300 to 1,000, just so it looks like you're a real person. If you're reaching out to people and you only have 50 followers or even less, it looks a little suspicious. Then you just want to have your name here. So it wants to be, you want to have a clear, legible name, and just your first name and last name is fine, or just your first name if you want. But you don't want to have like some weird nickname or something like that. And then for your bio, you just want to have a regular bio like somebody that has nothing to sell would have. So, for example, go take a look at your friends' Instagrams. Look at their bio and see what it says. You don't want to have anything salesy here. So you don't want to have your offer. You don't want to have a link to any lead magnets or stuff like that. Unless your Instagram profile or your Facebook profile, unless you're getting inbound traffic and you want them to see the credibility, then I would suggest doing that. But if you're just using your account for outbound outreach, you just want to come off as like you could be a potential customer for whoever you're targeting. So then you don't need any highlights. So one guy in an online community, he kept asking me about, "Oh, how do I get the highlights up there?" And I said, "Man, you don't need any highlights." I said, "What are you going to highlight? Like put case studies and all this stuff?" Because if you reach out to somebody and they don't know you, chances are they're going to look at your profile before responding. So if they look at your profile and they see that you have your offer in your bio, you have a bunch of highlights that are like case studies, results, free trainings, all that stuff, right away they know that you have something to sell. So they're not even going to reply based on what your profile looks like. So we'll just get into the types of content now that you want to have. So like I mentioned earlier, you just want to have lifestyle photos. So as you can see, like nothing here screams like, "Oh, this guy's into marketing or sales or has anything to sell me." It's just pictures that I've taken that were on my phone of just me being out and about. So it's nothing special. You don't want to come off as like you're some big marketing guru or something like that. So that's it for the profile and how you want to optimize your profile for best results. So moving forward, number 3, let me turn the camera back on for a second. So number three is your messaging is too generic and it's way too long. So when you reach out to somebody, you definitely want to know who you're talking to. And that's kind of touches on point number one is you don't understand your niche. So if you're just targeting an industry and not an actual sub niche of that industry, it's kind of hard to know actually what their pain points are, their wants and desires. So if you don't understand these things, you're going to write a message that is trying to speak to everyone, and a message that speaks to everyone speaks to no one. So now your message is just too long. So here's an example of a really long message that you wouldn't want to send. So this is something you would send more in like a cold email. And I'm not saying this would be a good cold email example, but in cold email you can send something this long where it's three paragraphs. But for when it comes to cold DM outreach, you want it to be short, sweet, and simple, and straight to the point. So you only want it to be about 3 sentences at most. So you don't want it to be like hi name, which I don't like using. I don't like addressing them by their first name. And the reason for that is because let's just say, let's just say you're married and you and your wife decide, yeah, let's get our kitchen remodeled. And it's like, okay, so let's start looking around for some quotes. So you go to Google, you look up some home remodelers in your area, you find someone that can, that you trust could do a good job on your kitchen. So when you reach out to them, you're just going to reach out, like, say you don't call them, or even if you did call them, you don't know their first name. Like, you're not going to go on Google and be like, okay, what's the name of this? What's the business owner's name? So I can address him by his first name. Unless he actively, or not actively, but unless it's like on his website and he shows, like, yeah, it's my company, or the company's like called John's Roofing or something like that, how would you even know their first name? And it seems a little bit weird. Like if someone reached out to you, let's just say the roles were reversed. Let's say you were a home remodeler now, and somebody that you've never met before reaches out to you on social media and says, "Hey, John, blah 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 blah." It would be like, "How do you even know my name?" So it just kind of raises red flags, in my opinion, when you address people by their first name in this type of context. So then you don't need to have this big long messaging of, oh, I hope you're doing well, blah, blah, blah. It's just keep it sweet, short, and to the point. So step number four, or reason number four, I should say, is your opener needs work. So saying like, hey, name, which I just mentioned, I don't use their name. Do you do commercial or residential? It's like, that was a decent opener once upon a time, but that's played out now because it's all over YouTube, and there's tons of people that are playing monkey see, monkey do, and they don't want to use their brain. They just want to figure, oh, well, Joel Kaplan's doing this or Thomas Garnett's doing this, and it worked. Like, for example, when Thomas Garnett posted that cold calling video of, and his whole entire script. I'm sure every single business owner in the United States has heard that script because everybody was just watching that video and figured, I'm just going to use the same script and just input, my niche. So you want to get a little bit more creative when it comes to creating an opener. So, for example, let's just use gyms as an example. And you want to get them to respond to your first message so you could then pitch them. So you could say something like, "Hey, do you guys offer a group fitness coach, or do you guys offer one-on-one coaching group coach?" Sorry, I'm getting ahead of myself. You could ask them like, "Hey, do you guys do one-on-one fitness training, or is it just kind of group stuff?" And that just sounds, and say it like that, or just kind of group stuff. That sounds like how a normal person would talk and inquire about their services. So chances are that's going to have a really high reply rate, and they're going to tell you either, yeah, we do both, or no, we only do one to one, or only group stuff. So reason number five that you're really struggling with your cold DMs is you talk about features and not the benefits. So prospects only care about what's going to benefit them. Really, anybody only, as much as somebody might be a good person and wants to help other people, we're all hardwired to think like, what's in it for me? So if you're reaching out to prospects talking about, AI and automation and, oh, we're going to get you qualified sales appointments and all this stuff. It's like you're talking about a feature here. They want to know, like, okay, how is working with you going to benefit me and my business? So, an example of a message talking about benefits would be like, if we could help you get, say, 3 brain injury cases in the next 30 days without spending money on ads, SEO, or monthly fees, would you be interested? So right away, they know what the benefits are of if they work with you and if you could actually deliver. So reason number 6 is you're pitching in the first DM. So a lot of people are probably gonna, drop off at this point of the movie if they haven't, or not the movie, this part of the video if they haven't already, because you don't want to reach out to people and just pitch them, because all of a sudden that's going to land in their inbox, and right away they can see that's a pitch, so they can decide whether they want to even speak to you or not. If you reach out to them with a response provoking opener and they respond, now it's like you just queued them up to receive the pitch. So now you're actually getting people replying to you instead of just thinking you're going to pitch in the first DM, pitch in the first DM, and get a bunch of meetings. Now, I'm not saying that doesn't work, but you kind of want to be strategic about your approach. So, reason number 7 is you're simply just not sending enough volume. So, if you're sending less than 100 DMs a day and you expect to fill your calendar, you're absolutely delusional, because there's players out here that are, they're investing in automation. They're sending, 3, 4, 500 DMs a day. Like, I've even seen people in YouTube videos talking about how they're sending like 5,000 a day, which is absolutely insane, but it's a numbers game. So if you're over there sending, you know 64 DMs a day, from your one or two accounts, don't get upset when you're not really booking any meetings, especially if you have a very long script, you're pitching in the first DM, and you're talking about the features instead of benefits. So the last and final reason is you're not tracking your metrics. So this is super important, because if you're not tracking your metrics, how do you know what's working and what isn't? And if you're not tracking, if you're not tracking something, you can never get better. So you want to track your replies. You want to track how many pitches you sent. You want to track how many total pitch replies, meaning, like, if people say they're not interested, you want to count that as a total pitch reply, because you want to collect as much data points as you can. You also want to be tracking positive replies. So if you're not tracking all these things, it's so easy to get in your feelings and be like, oh, my script's not working. But how would you know if your script's not working? You're not tracking anything. So just to give you kind of some perspective, imagine you were a farmer and you went out one afternoon, you took the tractor, you planted your whole cornfield. Then let's say you were expecting rain, but it didn't rain very much, over the weekend. And you're used to seeing your crops come up, within a few days or so. But for some reason, you didn't see them sprout up out of the ground. You wouldn't say, oh, well, obviously those seeds are bad, so let me just go till under my field and start all over again. That would be silly. So that's pretty much the same thing you're doing. If you're not tracking your metrics, how do you know what the real problem is? Maybe your opener is just not very good. Or maybe, from tracking the data, you see, like, okay, people are responding to my opener, cool. But, when I'm pitching them now, they kind of drop off. It's like, okay, let me go back to the drawing board, because it's not, I just need to kind of tweak my strategy. I don't need to all of a sudden be like, okay, DMs is no good. I need to go do cold calling or cold email. So I hope that kind of gave you a little bit of insights into why your cold DMs aren't working. And if you need more help with your DMs, consider subscribing to this channel and dropping a like, because every single day I'm going to be uploading new videos on how to grow your agency with cold DM outreach. So thanks very much for watching, guys, and see you on the next one. Peace.